The sacred Mahatmya had come to its glorious conclusion. Yet the divine journey was only beginning. The revered Vidyeshvara Samhita now opened its eternal treasury of wisdom, revealing the glory of Lord Shiva, the mystery of creation, and the path that leads every soul toward liberation. In the holy forest of Naimisharanya, the great sages remained seated in peaceful contemplation. The sacred atmosphere echoed with Vedic chants, while the fragrance of sacrificial fires filled the air with purity and devotion. Although they had heard the greatness of the Shiv Mahapuran, the hearts of the sages yearned for something even deeper. Their desire was not merely to hear sacred stories, but to realize the highest truth itself. Before the assembly sat the noble Suta, the blessed disciple in the sacred lineage of sage Vyasa. Having mastered the wisdom of the Vedas and Puranas, he was regarded as the perfect guide to reveal the eternal knowledge of Lord Shiva. With folded hands, sage Shravana respectfully spoke on behalf of the assembled sages. Filled with humility and devotion, they sought guidance that would benefit not only themselves but all humanity. The sages asked, "O revered Suta, among all forms of knowledge and all paths taught by the scriptures, which alone leads to the supreme good, what is the highest goal of human life?" They continued, "Who is Lord Shiva in his supreme reality? How does the Infinite One exist beyond creation while remaining present within every living being? Reveal to us his eternal nature." The sages further asked, "How should one worship Lord Shiva? What kind of devotion pleases him most? By what practices can even ordinary people attain his boundless grace?" With sincere hearts they inquired, "How can the soul break free from the endless cycle of birth and death? What is the simplest and most sacred path to attain liberation in this world?" The sages explained that their questions were not for personal gain. They wished to hear knowledge that would remove ignorance, strengthen righteousness, and guide all beings toward peace, devotion, and eternal happiness. Hearing these noble questions, Suta's face shone with delight. He knew that inquiries centered upon Lord Shiva rise only in hearts purified by faith and inspired by a sincere desire to know the supreme truth. Suta declared that the wisdom he was about to reveal was not born of personal opinion. It had descended through the sacred lineage of enlightened sages, preserved across generations by divine grace for the welfare of the world. Bowing with profound reverence, Suta offered his salutations to Lord Shiva, the eternal, unborn, all-pervading supreme being, who creates, sustains, and dissolves the universe while remaining forever beyond all change. The sacred assembly fell silent as every sage fixed his mind upon Suta. With hearts filled with devotion, they prepared to receive the timeless wisdom of Lord Shiva. Thus began the divine narration of the Vidyeshvara Samhita, whose sacred teachings would illuminate the path of truth, devotion, and liberation for all generations. Seeing the unwavering devotion of the sages assembled in the sacred forest of Naimisharanya, the venerable sage Suta smiled with compassion. He prepared to reveal the timeless wisdom received through the divine lineage of enlightened seers. Suta said, "O noble sages, blessed indeed are those who seek the highest truth. Such sincere inquiry is itself a sign of divine grace, for it leads the soul toward the path of liberation and eternal peace. Among countless forms of existence, obtaining a human birth is exceedingly rare. It is the greatest opportunity granted by the Supreme, for only in this life can one consciously strive to realize Lord Shiva and attain freedom from worldly bondage. The purpose of human life is not merely the pursuit of wealth, pleasure, honor, or power. Its true fulfillment lies in realizing the eternal self through devotion, righteous conduct, spiritual discipline, and constant remembrance of Lord Shiva. Deluded by Maya, the soul forgets its eternal nature. Bound by ignorance, desires, and attachment, it mistakes the temporary body for its true identity and continues to wander through the endless cycle of worldly existence. According to the law of karma, every action bears its fruit. Thus, the soul journeys through countless births and deaths, experiencing joy and sorrow repeatedly until the light of true spiritual wisdom finally awakens within. Many paths attract the restless mind, yet only the path illuminated by sacred knowledge, devotion, and righteous living leads beyond suffering. Guided by the wisdom of the scriptures and realized teachers, the seeker gradually approaches the supreme truth. When the heart becomes pure and the longing for truth sincere, the compassionate Guru appears by the will of Lord Shiva. The Guru removes ignorance, reveals the eternal knowledge of the self, and guides the disciple toward liberation. Suta explained that the highest devotion is strengthened through 3 sacred disciplines: listening with faith to the glories of Lord Shiva, chanting his holy names with devotion, and constantly remembering him with love and reverence. One who listens to the sacred stories of Lord Shiva with unwavering faith gradually becomes free from ignorance. Just as the rising sun removes the darkness of night, divine wisdom dispels the darkness within the heart. The repeated chanting of Shiva's holy names purifies the mind, calms restless thoughts, destroys accumulated sins, and fills the heart with devotion, peace, and unwavering faith in the Supreme Lord. Lord Shiva does not judge by birth, wealth, learning, or worldly status. He is pleased only by pure devotion offered with humility, sincerity, and a heart free from selfishness. Such devotion alone attracts his boundless grace. Those who remember Lord Shiva while performing every duty remain inwardly detached from worldly sorrow. Whether in joy or hardship, their minds remain firmly established in the eternal presence of the Lord. True devotion gradually destroys the accumulated effects of karma, purifies the heart, awakens divine knowledge, and opens the gateway to liberation. By Shiva's grace, the devotee ultimately attains eternal union with the Supreme. As sage Suta concluded these profound teachings, deep silence filled the sacred forest of Naimisharanya. Every sage sat absorbed in contemplation, their hearts overflowing with devotion and gratitude for the eternal wisdom of Lord Shiva. Sage Suta continued, "The wisdom of Lord Shiva is eternal. It was neither created nor will it ever perish. It shines beyond time, beyond change, and beyond the limits of human understanding. Though worshipped through many sacred forms, Lord Shiva is ultimately beyond all form, name, and limitation. He is the infinite, eternal reality, present everywhere yet untouched by the changing universe. From the Supreme Lord arises the entire creation. By His divine power the universe is sustained, and when the cosmic cycle ends, all beings and all worlds merge back into Him, the eternal source of existence. Lord Shiva is the supreme consciousness dwelling silently within every living being. Ever pure, changeless, and eternal, He remains the witness of all thoughts, actions, and experiences without ever being affected by them. Although beyond the universe, Mahadev is infinitely compassionate. He lovingly responds to every devotee who approaches him with faith, humility, and a sincere longing for spiritual liberation. Faith is the sacred bridge that connects the limited human mind with the infinite Lord. Through unwavering faith, devotion becomes firm, knowledge matures, and the seeker steadily advances toward the highest realization. As devotion deepens, anger, greed, pride, jealousy, attachment, and selfish desires gradually disappear. The purified heart naturally becomes a worthy dwelling place for the divine presence of Lord Shiva. True spiritual wisdom removes fear, confusion, and doubt. The devotee who realizes the eternal truth experiences unshakable peace, remaining undisturbed amidst the changing conditions of worldly life. The enlightened perceive Lord Shiva equally present within every creature. Seeing one divine consciousness in all beings, they develop compassion, humility, and universal love toward the entire creation. When the darkness of ignorance is completely removed, the soul realizes its eternal nature. It understands that its true essence is inseparable from the supreme reality, beyond birth, death, and worldly illusion. One who completely surrenders to Lord Shiva becomes fearless. Trusting entirely in His divine protection, such a devotee remains steady through both happiness and adversity, knowing that the Lord is ever present. The fruit of divine wisdom is lasting contentment, humility, compassion, forgiveness, self-control, and freedom from attachment. Such a soul lives peacefully in this world while progressing steadily toward final liberation. Those who faithfully hear, recite, and reflect upon the sacred teachings of the Shiv Mahapuran receive the grace of Lord Shiva. Their sins are gradually destroyed, devotion flourishes, and the path to liberation becomes clear. Deeply moved by the sacred discourse, sage Shaunaka and the assembled rishis respectfully bowed before sage Suta. Their hearts overflowed with gratitude for the priceless spiritual wisdom they had received through the ancient tradition. With minds purified and hearts firmly established in devotion, the sages awaited the next revelation with eager anticipation. Sage Suta prepared to continue unfolding the boundless glory and eternal wisdom of Lord Shiva as preserved in the sacred Shiv Mahapuran. As the first rays of dawn illuminated the sacred forest of Naimisharanya, the venerable sages gathered once again beneath the ancient banyan tree. With minds purified by devotion and hearts eager for divine wisdom, they approached the revered Suta Maharishi to hear the eternal truths of Lord Shiva. After offering respectful salutations, Shaunaka Rishi spoke on behalf of all the assembled sages. O revered Suta, tell us, what is the supreme purpose of human life? What is that highest attainment which every soul should strive to achieve? Suta replied gently, human birth is exceedingly rare. Among countless forms of life, only human beings possess the wisdom to distinguish between the temporary and the eternal. Therefore, this precious life should never be wasted in ignorance. Wealth, kingdoms, youth, beauty, fame, and worldly power appear dazzling for a moment, yet all pass away like clouds drifting across the sky. Those who become attached to them ultimately experience sorrow. Everything born within creation is subject to change. Every form eventually grows old and perishes. Such is the law governing the material universe. Therefore, the wise never seek permanent happiness in impermanent things. Beyond all change exists the eternal reality, the Supreme Lord, who neither takes birth nor dies. He remains ever pure, infinite, and beyond the limitations of time, space, and matter. He alone is the everlasting refuge of every soul. To know Lord Shiva as the supreme truth is the highest wisdom. When ignorance disappears and the Lord is realized through devotion and knowledge, the soul awakens to its true nature. Freed from attachment and illusion, the liberated soul is no longer bound by the endless cycle of birth and death. Through the grace of Lord Shiva, it attains eternal peace and supreme bliss. The ancient scriptures describe four aims of human life: dharma, righteous living; artha, rightful prosperity; kama, disciplined fulfillment of desires; and moksha, final liberation. Each has its place, but they are not equal in their ultimate purpose. Among these four, moksha stands supreme. Wealth, pleasure, and worldly success end with time, but liberation frees the soul forever from suffering and leads it into everlasting union with the Supreme. Deluded by ignorance, people become absorbed in worldly desires, forgetting the true purpose of life. Like travelers wandering in darkness, they mistake temporary pleasures for lasting happiness. Out of infinite compassion, Lord Shiva guides sincere seekers through the scriptures, realized teachers, and divine grace. Those who walk this sacred path gradually overcome ignorance and move toward liberation. The assembled sages listened with complete concentration. Every word spoken by Suta Maharishi entered their hearts like sacred nectar, deepening their understanding of the eternal truth. Knowledge is like the rising sun. Just as sunlight removes the darkness of night, true spiritual wisdom destroys ignorance and reveals the path leading to everlasting freedom. Suta concluded, "You have heard the supreme goal of human life. Now listen carefully as I explain the sacred means by which this highest goal is attained through spiritual discipline, devotion, and the boundless grace of Lord Shiva." Suta Maharishi continued, "O noble sages, having understood the supreme goal of life, one must now understand the means to attain it. Without the proper path, even the highest destination cannot be reached. Therefore, listen attentively as I explain the sacred discipline known as sadhana. Sadhana is the steady practice that purifies the mind, strengthens devotion, and leads the soul toward the Supreme. It is not accomplished in a single day, but through sincere effort, faith, patience, and unwavering determination. The first step of spiritual practice is to hear the sacred glories and teachings of Lord Shiva with humility and concentration. The words of the scriptures purify the heart and awaken true understanding in those who listen with faith. The constant repetition of the holy Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, purifies the mind and draws it away from worldly distractions. Every sincere repetition brings the devotee closer to the compassionate Lord. Even while engaged in daily duties, the wise keep their minds fixed upon Lord Shiva. True devotion is not limited to temples or rituals alone. It continues unbroken within the heart throughout every moment of life. Worship offered with a pure heart is dear to Lord Shiva. Whether the offering is simple or elaborate, he accepts only the sincerity of the devotee. Even a single leaf, flower, or drop of pure water offered with devotion becomes supremely sacred. The mind becomes pure when anger, greed, pride, jealousy, and selfishness are gradually abandoned. A heart cleansed of these impurities becomes a worthy abode for divine knowledge and devotion. Compassion toward all living beings is one of the highest forms of worship. One who sees the presence of Lord Shiva in every creature naturally becomes kind, gentle, forgiving, and helpful to all. Truth is the foundation of dharma. One who speaks truth with kindness and lives honestly pleases Lord Shiva. Falsehood may offer temporary gain, but truth alone leads the soul toward lasting peace. The senses constantly pull the mind toward worldly pleasures. Through meditation,
unwavering
discipline, and
devotion
discrimination,
to Lord
the seeker
Shiva
gradually masters the restless
realize
mind and turns it toward
the
the eternal
eternal
Lord.
light
Serving
within.
saints, pilgrims, parents, teachers, and those in need purifies the heart. Selfless service performed without pride becomes an offering to Lord Shiva himself and strengthens the spirit of humility. The guidance of a realized Guru removes confusion and reveals the correct path. Just as a lamp lights another lamp without diminishing its own flame, the Guru illuminates the disciple's heart with divine wisdom. Spiritual progress is achieved through constant practice. Day after day, the sincere seeker advances with patience and faith. Even small acts of devotion performed regularly become powerful means of attaining the Lord. Though effort is essential, liberation is ultimately attained through the boundless grace of Lord Shiva. When devotion becomes pure and unwavering, his compassion removes every obstacle and leads the devotee toward the highest realization. Suta concluded, among all spiritual disciplines, sincere devotion to Lord Shiva shines above all. It purifies the heart, awakens true knowledge, and leads the soul toward liberation. Now listen further as I explain how pure devotion transforms the devotee and destroys the bonds of worldly existence. Suta Maharishi said, O noble sages, among all paths that lead to the Supreme, pure devotion to Lord Shiva is the most direct and the most pleasing to him. Bhakti fills the heart with faith, purifies the mind, and draws the devotee ever closer to the Lord. Rituals performed without devotion become mere external acts. But even the simplest worship, offered with complete faith and love, is accepted by Lord Shiva. The Lord looks not at the richness of the offering, but at the sincerity of the heart. A humble devotee who offers a single flower, a bilva leaf, or even pure water with unwavering devotion pleases Lord Shiva more than one who performs grand ceremonies without true love. Pure intention is the greatest offering. The compassionate Lord never abandons his sincere devotees. Though unseen by ordinary eyes, his grace constantly protects, guides, and strengthens those who remember him with steadfast faith. As devotion deepens, fear gradually disappears, anger loses its power, attachment weakens, and selfish desires fade away. The heart becomes peaceful because it rests in the shelter of Lord Shiva. The devotee who constantly remembers Lord Shiva experiences a peace that worldly pleasures can never provide. Neither success nor failure disturbs such a person, for the mind remains firmly established in the Supreme. From pure devotion arises true knowledge. As ignorance is gradually destroyed, the devotee begins to perceive the eternal presence of Lord Shiva in all beings and throughout the entire universe. The accumulated bonds of past actions no longer bind a soul that surrenders completely to Lord Shiva. By his boundless compassion, the chains of worldly attachment are loosened, and the path toward liberation becomes clear. One who takes refuge in Lord Shiva remains fearless amid the uncertainties of life. Protected by unwavering faith, the devotee faces joy and sorrow alike with courage, patience, and complete trust in the Lord's divine will. When devotion becomes pure, knowledge becomes complete, and the heart is freed from every impurity, the individual soul realizes its eternal relationship with the Supreme. In the infinite light of Lord Shiva, all ignorance disappears, and everlasting bliss is attained. A true devotee does not withdraw from the world in pride. Filled with humility, compassion, truthfulness, and selfless service, such a person becomes a source of peace and inspiration for all living beings. Hearing these profound teachings, Shaunaka Rishi and the assembled sages bowed with folded hands. Their hearts overflowed with devotion and gratitude as they praised the infinite compassion and supreme wisdom of Lord Shiva. Suta Maharishi blessed the assembled sages, saying, "May unwavering devotion arise in every sincere heart. May Lord Shiva remove ignorance, strengthen faith, and guide all seekers toward the path of liberation." These sacred teachings are not meant for a select few alone. Whoever listens with faith, lives according to dharma, cultivates devotion, and remembers Lord Shiva with sincerity will steadily progress toward the highest goal of life through his divine grace. The sacred assembly offered heartfelt prayers to Lord Shiva as the serene forest of Naimisharanya echoed with devotion and peace. Thus concluded this chapter of the Vidyeshvara Samhita, revealing that the highest goal of human life is liberation, and the surest path to attain it is unwavering devotion, righteous conduct, spiritual discipline, true knowledge, and the boundless grace of Lord Shiva. Suta Maharishi said, "O revered sages, in the sacred forest of Naimisharanya, all of you assembled once again with minds purified by austerity, eager to hear the eternal glories of Lord Shiva." The sages humbly bowed before Suta Maharishi and said, "O blessed one, among the many paths spoken of in the scriptures, kindly tell us which is the easiest and most effective means by which ordinary people may attain the grace of Lord Shiva." Hearing their sincere question, Suta Maharishi smiled with compassion. Knowing that the sacred teaching would benefit not only those present but countless seekers in ages to come, he began to speak. Suta said, "Listen carefully, O noble sages. The first and foremost limb of Shiva Bhakti is Shravana. Devoutly listening to the sacred stories, divine qualities, and eternal glory of Lord Shiva. Just as rain revives dry and barren land, so does the sacred hearing of Shiva's glories awaken devotion within a heart that has long remained untouched by spiritual wisdom. The one who listens with faith gradually becomes free from ignorance, pride, attachment, anger, and fear. The mind slowly becomes pure and fit to receive divine knowledge. Even if one cannot understand every word of the sacred narration, sincere listening never goes in vain. Every hearing plants the imperishable seed of devotion within the heart. Just as blazing fire burns dry wood without distinction, the sacred hearing of the Shiv Mahapuran destroys the accumulated sins of many births and purifies the soul. Wherever devotees gather with one-pointed faith to hear the divine stories of Lord Shiva, that place becomes sanctified like the holiest of sacred pilgrimages. The scriptures declare that Lord Shiva is ever pleased to dwell wherever his names are remembered and his divine glories are heard with unwavering faith and devotion. Gradually, the restless mind becomes calm. Compassion arises naturally, worldly desires weaken, and the seeker's heart turns steadily toward the Supreme Lord. As sacred listening continues day after day, love for Lord Shiva blossoms effortlessly, just as a lotus naturally opens before the rising sun. Shravana becomes the sacred doorway leading the devotee toward deeper practices of worship, remembrance, meditation, and finally, realization of Lord Shiva. Hearing these words, the assembled sages folded their hands with great joy. They understood that even the simplest devotee could begin the journey toward liberation through sincere listening. Suta Maharishi concluded, "Therefore, O sages, those who faithfully hear the sacred Shiv Mahapuran with devotion steadily advance toward the eternal grace and compassion of Lord Shiva." After explaining the greatness of sacred listening, Suta Maharishi continued, "O noble sages, now hear of the next two sacred limbs of Shiva Bhakti, Kirtana and Manana. Kirtana Kirtana is the joyful singing and recitation of Lord Shiva's holy names, divine qualities, sacred deeds, and immeasurable compassion. Through it, the devotee keeps the Lord ever present in the heart. Every sincere repetition of the sacred Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, purifies the heart, destroys inner impurities, and gradually draws the devotee nearer to the Supreme Lord. When devotees gather with one mind and one heart to sing the glories of Lord Shiva, mutual devotion grows stronger, and righteousness flourishes among all who participate. Hymns, sacred songs, bells, conches, and devotional instruments become offerings unto the Lord when they are used with pure faith and heartfelt devotion. Lord Shiva is not pleased by melodious voices alone. He accepts the offering of a sincere heart, for true devotion is dearer to him than worldly perfection. After sacred listening and devotional chanting comes Manana, deep contemplation upon the teachings heard, so that divine wisdom becomes firmly established within the mind. The devotee reflects upon Lord Shiva's infinite compassion, supreme detachment, boundless wisdom, and universal grace until these divine qualities inspire daily life. As contemplation deepens, worldly attractions gradually lose their power. The restless mind becomes steady, peaceful, and absorbed in remembrance of the Supreme. By meditating upon the sacred Shiva Linga, the devotee gradually realizes that Lord Shiva is without beginning or end and pervades the entire universe. When Kirtana and Manana are practiced together, devotion becomes illuminated by wisdom, and wisdom becomes enriched with unwavering devotion. Thus, O sages, Shravana, Kirtana, and Manana together form the firm foundation of Shiva Bhakti, guiding the seeker steadily toward liberation. The devotee who faithfully follows these sacred practices gradually attains inner peace, fearlessness, purity of mind, steadfast wisdom, and unshakable devotion to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, the compassionate refuge of all beings, lovingly accepts every sincere seeker who walks the sacred path with humility, faith, and unwavering dedication. Suta Maharishi concluded, "Therefore, O noble sages, listen with faith, chant with devotion, contemplate with sincerity, and the compassionate Lord Shiva himself shall guide you toward the supreme path of liberation." With folded hands, the great sages humbly approached Suta Maharishi. Filled with devotion, they asked, "O revered one, kindly reveal the true mystery of the sacred Shiva Linga, which is worshipped by gods, sages, and devotees throughout the three worlds." Suta Maharishi smiled with compassion and replied, "Listen with unwavering attention, O noble sages. What I am about to reveal is a sacred truth known only to the greatest seers through divine realization and the grace of Lord Shiva. Know with certainty," Suta said, "that the Shiva Linga is not merely a stone image fashioned for worship. It is the eternal symbol through which the supreme reality is contemplated by sincere seekers. The sacred Shiva Linga represents the Supreme Lord who is without beginning, without end, unborn, eternal, and beyond all limitations. Though beyond human comprehension, he becomes accessible through this sacred symbol. From that infinite supreme reality arises the entire universe. By his divine will alone, countless worlds, beings, and celestial realms come into existence, just as rays naturally emerge from the radiant sun. Innumerable galaxies, stars, planets, mountains, rivers, forests, and every realm of existence unfold from the limitless divine power of the Supreme Shiva, whose glory knows no boundary. The universe does not exist apart from him. All creation abides within his infinite consciousness, sustained every moment by his eternal presence, just as waves exist within the vast ocean. All beings are born according to his divine order, live by his sustaining power, and in due course peacefully return to him. Thus, the entire cycle of existence remains under the Supreme Lord. The sacred Shiva Linga symbolizes the eternal source from whom arise the three cosmic functions: creation, preservation, and dissolution, through the divine powers entrusted to Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. By the command of the Supreme Lord, Brahma undertakes the sacred work of creation. Through divine wisdom, he manifests the worlds, living beings, and all that is required for the cosmic order. Lord Vishnu lovingly sustains the universe with compassion and righteousness. He protects dharma, nurtures all beings, and preserves harmony throughout creation by the will of the Supreme Shiva. When the appointed time arrives, Lord Rudra gently dissolves the universe according to the Supreme Lord's command. This dissolution is not destruction, but the compassionate return of creation to its eternal source. When their divine duties are fulfilled, Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra merge once again into the infinite Shiva, demonstrating that all divine manifestations originate from and ultimately return to the one supreme reality. Hearing this profound revelation, the hearts of the assembled sages overflowed with devotion. Their doubts vanished completely, and they experienced deep reverence for the eternal greatness of the Shiva Linga. With folded hands and minds filled with unwavering faith, the sages bowed before the sacred Shiva Linga. They glorified the Supreme Lord, the eternal source of creation, preservation, dissolution, and liberation, whose divine grace alone leads the soul to everlasting peace. Suta Maharishi said, "O noble sages, the sacred Shiva Linga is the highest symbol of the Supreme Reality. Those who understand its true significance go beyond external appearance and realize the eternal truth that pervades all existence. The Supreme Lord has no beginning. Before creation came into existence, He alone existed. Therefore, the Shiva Linga symbolizes that beginningless reality which has neither origin nor cause. Just as no one can discover the end of the infinite, the Supreme Shiva has no limit. The Shiva Linga reminds every seeker that the eternal Lord extends beyond all imagination and cannot be measured by the human mind. Time governs all created beings. Birth, growth, decay, and change belong to the world. But the Supreme Lord is untouched by time. The Shiva Linga represents that eternal reality which remains unchanged through every age and every cosmic cycle. Space contains countless worlds, yet the Supreme Lord is not confined by any place. He pervades everything while remaining beyond everything. Thus, the Shiva Linga symbolizes the infinite presence that transcends all directions and all universes. Whatever is born must one day perish. But the Supreme Shiva is unborn, imperishable, and eternal. The Shiva Linga reminds devotees that the Lord exists beyond birth, beyond death, and beyond every change experienced by creation. At the close of every cosmic cycle, worlds, stars, mountains, rivers, and all living beings gradually return to their source. Yet the Supreme Shiva remains ever unchanged, shining eternally beyond creation and dissolution. The wise describe the Supreme Lord as an infinite pillar of divine light whose brilliance has neither beginning nor end. That eternal radiance illumines every universe and reveals the limitless glory of the Supreme Reality. Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, the celestial gods, great sages, siddhas, and yogis all bow before the infinite Lord with humility. Knowing Him to be the Supreme Source, they worship Him with unwavering devotion and profound reverence. Those who purify their minds through meditation and devotion behold the Lord within their own hearts. Realizing His presence within themselves, they attain peace, wisdom, and freedom from worldly delusion. The Shiva Linga represents the Supreme Brahman who is without form, beyond attributes, beyond thought, and beyond speech. Though the Lord cannot be fully described, His infinite nature is contemplated through this sacred symbol. From that one formless reality arise Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, the celestial beings, the worlds, and every form of life. Though countless forms appear, the eternal source remains the one Supreme Shiva alone. The true devotee gradually perceives the presence of the Supreme Lord in every mountain, river, forest, creature, and every living being. Seeing Shiva everywhere, the heart becomes free from division and filled with divine love. Hearing these sacred teachings, the assembled sages experienced deep spiritual realization. Their doubts disappeared completely, and their hearts overflowed with devotion toward the infinite Lord whose glory transcends all worlds. Suta concluded, "Thus the sacred Shiva Linga is the eternal symbol of the infinite supreme reality. It is the source from which all creation arises, by which all existence is sustained, and into which everything ultimately returns. Those who worship the Shiva Linga with faith, knowledge, and pure devotion gradually attain the eternal grace of Lord Shiva and the supreme state of liberation. The noble sages bowed before Suta Maharishi and humbly asked, "O revered one, kindly explain the merits obtained by worshipping the sacred Shiva Linga with devotion and sincerity." Suta Maharishi replied, "Listen carefully, O sages. Lord Shiva is pleased not by wealth or grandeur alone, but by a heart filled with faith, humility, and pure devotion. Even the simplest offering made with love becomes infinitely precious. He who offers pure water upon the sacred Shiva Linga with a devoted mind purifies his heart. Just as water cleanses the body, sincere worship cleanses the inner being and leads one toward righteousness. The sacred Bilva leaf is especially dear to Lord Shiva. Whoever respectfully offers fresh Bilva leaves with unwavering faith receives the Lord's grace and advances steadily on the path of dharma. When a devotee lovingly performs Abhishek with pure milk, the offering symbolizes purity, surrender, and devotion. Such worship delights Lord Shiva and fills the devotee's life with spiritual merit. Fresh flowers offered with reverence represent the blossoming of pure devotion within the heart. The Lord accepts not merely the flowers themselves but the sincerity and love with which they are offered. The fragrance of incense purifies the atmosphere, while the sacred lamp symbolizes the light of divine knowledge. Those who offer incense and light before the Shiva Linga pray for the removal of ignorance and the awakening of wisdom. The sacred Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, is the very essence of Shiva Bhakti. Repeating it with concentration and devotion purifies the mind and steadily draws the devotee closer to the Supreme Lord. By sincerely worshipping the Shiva Linga and remembering the Lord with repentance and faith, the burden of past sins gradually diminishes. The heart becomes peaceful, pure, and devoted to righteous living. As devotion deepens, worldly anxieties slowly fade away. The devotee experiences lasting peace, contentment, and unwavering trust in the compassionate protection of Lord Shiva. With the blessings of Lord Shiva, difficulties that hinder righteous living gradually diminish. The devotee gains courage, wisdom, and strength to overcome every challenge while remaining firmly established in dharma. Where the Shiva Linga is worshipped with faith becomes filled with harmony, prosperity, mutual affection, and divine protection. Steadily grows in virtue and spiritual happiness. Through constant worship, the devotee develops unwavering devotion, purity of mind, self-control, compassion, and true spiritual wisdom. These noble virtues become the greatest wealth bestowed by Lord Shiva. When the final moment of life arrives, the devotee who has worshipped the sacred Shiva Linga with sincere faith remembers the Supreme Lord. By his infinite compassion, Lord Shiva grants liberation to such a devoted soul. Suta Maharishi concluded, "Thus, O noble sages, those who worship the sacred Shiva Linga with pure devotion, humility, and steadfast faith receive the boundless grace of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. They are blessed with righteousness, peace, wisdom, prosperity, and, ultimately, the supreme gift of liberation. Therefore, let every seeker worship the sacred Shiva Linga with unwavering devotion, for it is the eternal gateway to the supreme reality."